Warning: the following podcast show that you're about to listen to will include explicit language and content in which you, the members of the audience, may find offensive. Audience discretion is advised.
Welcome to another episode of the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience.
Yeah, boy.
Where anything and everything is a subject matter on the show, and no subject matter is ever taboo.
Damn, that's what's up, my G.
And now, your host with the most, Mr. Kim Hoang. Bro, am I getting paid for this?
Hey, what's going on, everybody? How in the world are you? This is your boy, Kim Hoang, the Asian sensation. You know I'm the voice, and you know I am the choice. And we're here cooking up another episode that is the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience, coming at you live all the way from the Asian Sensation Studios that is in our side of our beta room of the studio, right here in the greater Washington, D.C. metropolitan area. It is very good and great and awesome to be here in the booth, you know, just recording for you guys and making this stuff happen. And, you know, it's really weird to say, but I'm going to say it. Every time that I'm over in the Asian Sensation Studios, and every time I'm in the booth, and I'm here with the microphone, you know, close to my face with the help of the boom arm and everything, and I'm just here, I'm at peace. You know, I'm at peace, and it's great, and it's amazing. And, you know, I'm just here in my happy place, in my element, knowing that this is my creative medium. And this is something that I love to do. For some people, you know, they might think that it's just a waste of time, or it's just something that you'll never get much out of it. But for me, I just think that it's a positive creative medium. I love doing what I'm doing with it. It's absolutely fabulous. I have no regrets whatsoever. I just do what I do with, you know, my art, what I record. And I just hope and pray that, you know, everybody, you know, likes it. You know, I'm just hoping. You know, I know for a fact that I can't make everybody like what I do, you know, when it comes to my podcasting. There are going to be some people that love it and support it, and then some people that may not favor it. And that's fine. I think everybody has an opinion and the freedom of choice to like what they like and, you know, dislike what they don't like, which is fine. But I'm here. I'm doing it. And, you know, it's just going to stay that way. It really is. So I'm happy, you know, regardless of what the outcome is and regardless of what other people think. You know, that's just the bottom line. Obviously, today I'm here to record, and I got notes in my hand. Thanks to Hector, you know, he actually gave me the notes, and he said, hey, you should go ahead and, you know, stick to this plan. As we discussed, you and I came up with a good idea. And let me tell you something, this is going to be a good idea, because what I'm going to be talking about, one of it, I'm going to be talking about something kind of new-ish. So we're going to go ahead and talk about that right now, and we're going to go ahead and get into it. I might have hinted a little bit about it with certain past episodes and so forth, but I don't think that we really gone in depth. So that's why we're going to be doing that. Later on, we're going to visit or revisit an old episode back in season 2, and I'll explain a little bit more about that, and I will actually express a little bit more about certain things that I forgot to mention that recently came into light, and even something that you know, the reason why I brought it out back into light, because somebody that I know was mouthing off, and I'll let you know about that in a little bit. But right now, I want to jump into this situation right now. I actually had a discussion recently, and it was more like I was doing like a little bit of a mini seminar back home in Annapolis, Maryland, where I'm originally from, born and raised. So I was invited by a friend of mine to kind of give this like live demonstration and to talk about podcasting and what I do with my podcast and how I record and everything. And it was received very well. You know, a lot of people were asking a lot of great questions and so forth. But, you know, we had a very good debate because there was a lot of people that was asking a lot about, you know, certain ways to record a podcast, because there's so many different ways and avenues in order to record your podcast, and each and every one of these methods do work, but there is a little bit of a, you know, a pro and a con for the situation. And I've done basically all these things, so I'm a little bit experienced when it comes to that sort of thing, and I do have a valid opinions on the matter. So yeah, you know, I think that I would say that I am a good authority when it comes to this. So yes, you know, I know what I'm talking about. And I think that my wisdom and my suggestions into this situation will help bring the situation to a better understanding and to a better light. So guess what? Today we're going to be doing this for your education. So different ways on how to actually record your podcast, and I have a couple of them, and it, you know, really breaks down to like 3 elements, and that's good because I think that's all you really need. So let's go ahead and do it. One way to record a podcast is very simple, and it's a device that everybody has access to, and it's amazing, which is basically record on your smartphone device, right? Whether if you have an Android or if you have an iPhone, everybody in the world has one. You know, there's half of the people, in my belief, half of the people of the world, they're iPhoners. Half of the people on the other part of the world have an Android. You know, it's a smartphone. It's great. Both of those type of phones have some kind of like recording device, some voice recording device. I know for the iPhone, and I've said I've done this before. We have a voice app called Voice Memos, and that's pretty good for recording, you know, kind of like mental notes. And you can just record and you can just do whatever. And it's amazing. It's really awesome. So, I mean, this is where we go to the pros and the cons of smartphones. Pro, it's cheap, because if you already have a smartphone or you have an iPhone, you're already ahead of the game, and that's great. That's one less expense that you have to worry about spending for, because it's already there in the palm of your hand. We use our smartphone or device for everything from texting to calling to just cruising on the internet, and etc., etc. We have it already, so it's good and it's awesome, and that's just one less thing that we worry about. So it's good, you know, unless you don't have a smartphone or, you know, an iPhone or anything of that sort, then I would say you're a little bit into trouble. But I would say 9 people out of 10 already have a smartphone device, and it's good. It's really awesome. Another pro that we have is that with the smartphone device, it's portable. You know, it's so portable that you can take it anywhere that you want, and it also fits not only in the palm of your hand, but also in your pocket. So, you know, you can actually literally take that with you. It requires little to no space, and it's amazing. You know, I mean, that's the one thing that, you know, we take it with us when we're going over to work. We're taking it with us while we're on vacation. We take it with us if we're actually doing international travel, and it's a must. You know, it's a great thing. You know, and I love it. You know, one less thing to worry about in terms of space and expense, right? Another great pro is that, you know, if you use it, it is good for a one-person recording, first-person recording. Meaning, if you're just recording by yourself, you're pretty much good to go. if you have like a headset or earphones that have a microphone, you can connect it right into your smartphone device, and you can use the microphone there. Just speak into it and you're good to go. Or if you want to go ahead and use without the microphone, no problem, because you can actually use your phone's speaker/microphone that's probably located on the bottom of the smartphone. And you can go ahead and do that too. Or if you actually have like a phone stand, go ahead and let your phone stand hold your phone, and you can kind of put the microphone kind of close to where your lip area is, your lips and in your in your mouth, so that your vocals will travel almost instantaneously to where the microphone is, and you'll have a good time. We do have some cons. Number one, obviously with the smartphone, it is not good for a multi-person. If you're planning to share the phone to do an interview, let's say with another person, that's going to be a little bit hard, because you'll end up grabbing the phone, recording from your mouth into their mouth, and it's going to be like a human kind of microphone. Not really a good thing. So it's going to be a little bit of a disadvantage there. Number two, if you're going to have a multi-person interview, you're going to have to invest in a lapel microphone or a Bluetooth microphone for better vocal performance. So it's going to be a little bit more cleaner. However, when you do that, you end up spending a little bit of money. Now, a lapel microphone that's wired is a little bit more affordable, so that's okay. It just depends on the type of brand that you buy and how many mics are, associated with that lapel mic. I mean, it could be a single, it could be a double, we don't know. So you really have to make sure that you're very careful what you buy. Bluetooth microphones for a smartphone or an iPhone tend to be a little bit more expensive. But again, with these microphones, it is a better performance and a better quality. So if you're okay to kind of chew on that expense, it's okay. Number two method of how to actually record your podcast is that you can actually record on your computer, whether if it's a desktop or a laptop, whether if it's a PC or an Apple. It is quite the way to go. And as long as you have everything that you need associated with it, it's going to be fine. Now you're kind of recording a little bit on a better device for better quality. The pro is that when you actually record on a computer, the convenience is amazing, because you're automatically recording your material directly on your computer, and once you're done, you can actually save, and it saves that sound file. It saves the work that you were doing. So automatically your computer's hard drive already has that information, and it's good to go, and it's amazing. Another pro is that when you edit the sound on the computer, it's a better quality. So, it's better to do it that way. You can do it on your smartphone, but there's it's something about like the controls and the options on doing it on a computer is way better. Very, very, much more superior. Another pro is that if you plan to do a first person recording, meaning that you're recording solo, it's easy because you only need to have one tool, and that's a USB microphone. So get a microphone that has a USB connection, connect it to the USB portion of your computer, and then go ahead and have at it, which is amazing. It's fun and it's great. There are a lot of cons that are very, synonymous with this situation, and it's a lot that's going on. Like con number 1, if you plan to have another person to record with you, then you're going to need to buy more equipment, like extra microphones with XLR connections on those microphones. You're going to need to buy those XLR wires for those microphones. You'll also need to have a multi-channel sound interface to connect from the microphones into your computer. And especially like if you need a sound interface that has more than just 2 microphone connections, like it would be like 4 or be 6. That's a lot that's going on there. Con number 2, if you don't have a computer program that does that has like a music studio or does music studio recording, then you will need to buy it. That's a big important thing. Now, the good part of this situation is that if you have an Apple computer, like a MacBook Pro or an iMac or something, you're already ahead of the game because you'll automatically have a program called GarageBand. Now, I have worked on GarageBand before, and it is quite incredible. It is definitely a cool thing, and, it's great because it will get the job done. Now, if you're looking for, something a little bit more advanced and has all the bells and whistles, then that is going to be a little bit more of a technical, expense right there. There is such of a program that you can buy on your MacBook Pro or your iMac or whatever, you know what I mean? But the thing about it is, it's really expensive. It's called Logic Pro for Mac. That puppy is about like $599.99, but it has all the bells and whistles and the better quality. As far as I know, for PC, they don't have any like vocal recording programs that I'm not aware of. So you would have to invest in like some kind of a program automatically. Some people have said Magix, M-A-G-I-X. Magix. They have that's a brand name, and they have a bunch of like music studio sound recording programs that are good for the PC, but it does cost a little bit. So yeah, words to live by and things to think about. The last con is very simple, and it's so true, is that you'll end up spending more money than ever if you're planning to record on said computer. There's a lot that goes on there, and stuff is not cheap. And if you're planning to buy stuff to record, your podcast with on your computer, you're going to need to buy a lot of stuff. That means more money, and like in the words of the Notorious B.I.G., more money, more problems. Last but not least, we have. This one is something that I have been working on recently, and it definitely has worked for me. But, I'll let you decide that, which is basically sound recording devices. And by that, you can actually buy a device, and you can actually record your voice on the device, and it works, and it's great. The machine that I'm using is a Zoom PodTrack P4, which is absolutely incredible. It's made to, capture like vocal podcasting stuff or music stuff or anything of that stuff, and it's amazing. There is something called the Zoom H8, which is a higher quality, and you actually can do a lot with that one, which is amazing. Now we're going to go ahead and talk about the pros of the Zoom PodTrack device and the H8. One pro is that when you record into it, it's studio sound recording quality. It is amazing. It is good, like actual professional music studio kind of sound quality. You can't beat it. And when you play it back, it's like, oh my goodness, it's absolutely incredible. It's great. Another pro is that you can connect up to 4 people on the PodTrack P4 of your Zoom device. Now, if you got the H8, I do believe that you can connect to 6 people because it's a higher end model and it's more built for that. It's absolutely incredible. The last pro is that you can upload your sound file content directly to your computer with a USB-C to a USB wire connected on your Zoom PodTrack device, and then connect it to your computer. Boom, it's there. With a little bit of a sound transfer command on your device, it's good to go. Now, with the pros do come with the cons. And the first con that comes into mind is that you have to be careful when it comes to the sound. So you're going to have to go ahead and adjust the physical sound to eliminate certain sound feedbacks. And this has happened before to me where I'm recording and I think that I have the right setting, and all of a sudden, I hear a little feedback like wee, and it's just incredibly boring, and it's just like, oh, so frustrating. So you have to find the right levels and so forth. And if you're actually recording with more than one person, you have to make sure that you distance the microphones and the headphones away from each other so it just doesn't meet a certain connection of distance, and then you'll hear even more feedback. So something to think about. Con number 2, you're going to end up needing to buy microphones, with the XLR connection. You're going to need to buy cables for those, and you're going to need to buy headphones. Yes, headphones for the device. And it's one of those things where you will be spending money for that, and that's again, mo money, mo problems. Number 3 is that you'll need to buy a micro SD card, a micro SD memory card. The reason behind that is that when you make a recording, you cannot save the file physically just on the device itself. It doesn't have a hard drive like that. So you're going to need to buy a micro SD card just so that you can put all the information into that card. It's kind of like, if you had a computer and you needed like an old school floppy disk. You need, or in this case, for today's generation, you're going to need to have a USB memory card. You know what I mean? And the memory card is very, very important to have because, that's the only way that, you can save your information. That flash drive. It's important to save your information on a flash drive on your from your computer. It's important to have a micro SD card, an SD memory card for your device, for your Zoom device. Again, it's a micro SD memory card. You're going to need that. And let me give you a piece of advice. The more memory capacity that micro SD memory card has, the better you're going to be. I'm already working on 1 terabyte of information that I have for my Zoom PodTrack, and I did that so that I can just buy that and I don't have to buy anything else. 1 terabyte is a lot of information, so there's a lot going on with that. The last con is that, buying a Zoom PodTrack P4 and an H8, it is quite pricey, and there's a lot that goes on there. I mean, these devices, they're not cheap. You will spend some money for it, but if you have the resources financially to go ahead and get one, then you're pretty much in the clear. You know what I mean? You're definitely in the game. Now, and I looked at this a little bit earlier today. I went over to Amazon Prime, and I was looking at the cost of said device. Now, from what I saw, the cost right now, currently as we speak, for a Zoom PodTrack P4 podcast recorder is that it's about an average of $150, which is not bad. That is really good, and that's very reasonable. Now, if you're trying to get the H8, you will pay a pretty penny. That's going to be like $330, But, it really depends on your situation. Are you going to be, needing it for the fact that you're going to be recording for 6 people at the same time? I mean, if it is, and you can use, a lot of time with that, then that's the more bang for your buck. That's the definite way to go. But if you're just going to record, let's say one person, or just 2 people or 3 people, not including yourself, and you're going to be doing that on a regular basis, then, the PodTrack P4 of Zoom is the way to go. That's probably going to be your speed. So, yeah, words to think about, and advice to live with. There is no right or wrong way to record. It's just more of your preference and, what your financial resources can allow you. 9 times out of 10, a lot of people probably have maybe 2 out of the 3 things here. You're already going to have a smartphone device, and that's great. Most likely you're going to have a computer already, so that's good. So you're ahead of the game there. But again, it's all about the financial resources. If you just have the one, that's good. Like a smartphone device, hey, at least you'll be able to do something with it and make it happen. It's going to take a lot of work, but you can make it happen. And I wish the best of luck for everybody that wants to be a podcaster and record their content. It's a real big, it's a big challenge, and it's also a big responsibility. So, more power to all of my brothers and sisters that want to do podcasting. It's a lot to take in, but I feel like you guys need to know the truth. That is the truth. That is also my opinion. And, I just hope that you guys are prepared for it. So, Godspeed, guys. Godspeed. We're going to go ahead and take a little bit of a break. When we come back, we're going to go into our second segment. We're going to revisit an episode from season 2 and talk a little bit more about that, and actually reveal what one of my friends said that led to this point that I have to go ahead and to make this episode, or this part of the episode, happen. Plus, who can forget our greatest segment of our podcast, the Q&A segment? We're going to have that today. It's going to be incredible. You don't want to miss it. So guys, stay tuned. Go ahead and take a break. I know we're going to take a break, but please come back, because when you do, the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience will be here. We'll be rocking, and we're going to be doing it all for you guys. So stay tuned, and we'll see you in a bit. Ever wanted to make a podcast but didn't know how to do it or where to go? Does the idea of pursuing podcasting sounds great, but you're afraid of the expenses that you have to invest in? Then look no further than Spotify for Podcasters. They have the tools that you need to create the perfect podcast episode that you want, whether if you want to create it in an audio and or video podcasting form. To those that already podcast, Spotify for Podcasters can help you upload your already completed audio/video podcasts to all of the podcasting platforms that you have a membership to. And the best part is that this is 100% free. No hidden costs, no monthly fees, because you don't have to give them your credit card information, and because Spotify for Podcasters want to help by giving back to everybody. So check them out at podcasters.spotify.com and download their app for free on the Google Play Store and or the Apple App Store. Spotify for podcasters.
And now, back to the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience with your host, Kim Hoang.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience. We are here doing it again for round number 2, and I'm really happy. I'm really excited. I will have to say that with the first segment, I know it's a little bit technical and it's certain things that not many people know, but the fact that, when I give you this kind of knowledge, to me it's important because I'm really advising and teaching something to everybody out there, for people that may already know but they need like a little bit of advice, or people that may not know. It's kind of like a free education, if you will. And not many people know about the differences about, what to do when it comes to recording a podcast or how it's done. So that's where I kind of dropped in that information. So I hope that segment actually was, if not enjoyable, at least informative. So that way it's like, okay, you came away with something with that. So now we're going to go ahead and go down the rabbit hole. I said and acknowledged that this was going to happen, and yeah, it's already happening. It's what it is. A while ago, back in season 2, I believe, I actually had an episode that I created when it came to talking about safety on the set, and also safety when it comes to doing stunts. And I believe that was episode 5, safety on the movie set and stunt safety. And I'm very proud of that because I was advising a lot of people about, what to do and what not to do. And when you're doing stunts, what happens? Well, I have to revisit it a little bit because, number one, there's just new information that came into light, especially with one of them, which I'm going to talk about, which is stunt safety. But number 2, most recently, what happened, and I'm a little bit disappointed in the guy, you know what I mean? A friend of mine who I've known for a little bit, and I got a lot of love for him because, the brother's also a martial artist, had recently told me, Kim, there's no way in the world that I'm going to waste my money on getting safety equipment when I do my stunts. I already know how to take a fall because I learned how to take a fall, through my martial arts school, and I'm feeling pretty good. In my age of the young 20s, I'm okay. I can do it. I have the body and I have the durability. It's going to be okay. Why would I need to do that? Why would I need to worry? And I'm sitting there looking at myself, looking at the sky going, geez Louise, man, I cannot believe he just said that. That's sacrilege. Ladies and gentlemen, I have to tell you and explain this to you in the best way possible. I cannot stress it enough as it is. I think it's very important, and it bears the fact that I do need to repeat it again. When it comes to movie making and so forth, the number one rule is that safety is important. Safety first. The number one investment that you're ever going to make in life is your health and your well-being, because you only have one body and you only have one health, and you might as well make sure that it has the best longevity possible without any chance of risking, injury to yourself. And that sucks. I have heard a lot of horror stories and seen those horror stories in reality when it comes to somebody getting injured on the set and having to go over to the hospital due to the fact that they did a stunt and they didn't have protection. The protection is there like its namesake. It's there to protect you. It's there to, make sure that you don't fracture any bones on your body, or you don't, fracture a vertebrae on your neck or on your back. You know what I mean? It's really important to have that type of situation, because if you actually go ahead and get injured on the set, number one, the movie production company is not going to be paying for your hospital bill, at least not in the local film set. If it's like the local film sets, where it's not even Hollywood, no, that's not going to happen. If you were in Hollywood and you got injured, they are liable then. Yes, absolutely, and they will take care of it. But if we're talking about filming locally and filming as a local film and not a Hollywood film, they're not going to pay for your hospital bill, and you have to pay a very, very big amount of money to go ahead and go to the hospital, see what's going on, get a diagnosis, and then get discharged with possible medication and or different types of braces that you will need in order to kind of heal from your injury. And all of that could be avoided if you actually had bought the right type of equipment needed to kind of fight the possibility of getting injured, so that you would protect yourself from getting injured, from that danger, from that hurt. You know what I mean? And by that I mean like getting the basic stuff like knee pads, elbow pads, a spine protector. Sometimes you might need a helmet. Get a helmet. You know what I mean? Now, if you want to get something more technical as well, like getting like, shorts that have like padding all over from the thighs to the gluteus maximus and the tailbone. Yeah, if you can ship in extra dollars for it, please do so. That would be amazing. Sometimes you might need some wrist guards and things like that. These things add up, but you know what? I'd rather pay a short amount of money for my protection of my longevity, so I don't run the risk of getting injured, than to be injured without wearing all of that stuff and then having to pay boku bucks. You know what I mean? It's just crazy. Now, when I tell you to buy safety equipment, I'm telling people right now, and I know I might get shot in the foot for this, but you really need to buy the best equipment possible. Don't be cheap. You know what I mean? Because if you're being cheap, you're only cheating yourself, and you're only cheating the high quality that it is needed to protect your well-being and your safety. Now, if you get something inexpensive, and if you didn't know, I mean, that's going to get you by for a little bit for sure. You buy yourself a little time, but, you want something of good quality that's going to have durability. And if you buy something cheap that has, questionable durability or literally none, it'll help you out that day, but, expect that piece of equipment to rip out. And once it's ripped out and the padding is ripped out and the protection's ripped out, then what? You're pretty much up a creek. So, I would suggest things like, if you're getting something like basics, something good to start with, that's also acceptable. Like, I would get like something like the McDavid's, from like, a Dick's Sporting Goods, or even like Amazon Prime, to get the elbow pads and to get the knee pads. I think they're very good at, basically what you do. And if you happen to fall, then it takes a little bit of the cushion. It takes a little bit of the blow. To get a spine protector, I probably would go with a Demon United, because it's very durable, and whenever you fall on your back, all of the energy that you fall on your back spreads out evenly, and you'll feel very, very protected, well protected, to the point it's like, okay, I fell, but guess what? I didn't feel a lot of that stuff. It felt like almost literally nothing. Or if I felt something, it felt like it was only, I felt 50% of the impact, which is good. That's what you want to have. You want to have at least 50% of the impact being felt rather than just going ahead and feeling all of it, you know what I mean, with no protection. I have seen a lot of people buy El Cheapo stuff, and after one day, the padding of the elbow pad and the padding of the knee pad caved in. And it caved in so much that there was hardly any room and any foam and padding for proper protection. And I just kind of knew at that point, that's like a lesson that needs to be taught here to everybody, is that, once again, guys, cheap stuff is not good. And good stuff that you want is not cheap. If you want to pay for really good protection, you have to invest your money. You cannot be cheap. You cannot be frivolous. I mean, you wouldn't go to a doctor who actually has not even been a medical doctor for 1 year just so that you can save on the price. You rather go to a doctor that's practiced medicine for about like 20 years in the business, and they know what they're talking about and graduated from, a good institution. Because that way, at least on paper, it tells me, okay, I have a better chance with this doctor because this doctor seems like they know what they're talking about, and I'm going to be led in the right path. I don't think that it's fair to be in a situation where, like, I'm going to go ahead and, just roll the dice and think that this is going to work. No, you're guaranteed trouble, and I have a lot of people in the stunt industry that I know that are good friends of mine that tell me, you need to invest in solid stuff, the best stuff possible. Now, I know you think about it this way. It's like, oh man, I bought it one time, and it's the most expensive stuff. Well, guess what? If you bought it the one time, guess what? You probably can use it again, because at least in my opinion, the more money that you spend on higher quality stuff, then that the lifespan of that equipment and the durability of that equipment will last you for a very long time. And you don't have to keep buying equipment year after year after year. Like, I wouldn't need to buy another pair of knee pads. I wouldn't need to buy another pair of elbow pads, or I wouldn't need to buy another spine protector, because I invested a good amount of money, and this thing is really working to the T. And it's working exactly the way that I thought it would. And I'm very proud and I'm very happy of this product, of this company that I bought, that I invested my money in. Money well spent. Money well spent. Now, to the person that actually said that, I'm going to say this. Brother, I love you very much. You are my friend to the end. And I think that, you're very talented in what you do. You're a very great martial artist, great martial arts talent, great martial arts knowledge. Your years of training in the martial arts is nothing to sneeze at. And I throw no shade or no hate whatsoever in what you do, because you have dabbled in a lot of martial arts. And, even though they say, jack of all trades and master of none, I think that you're a jack of all trades and a master of all, at least when it comes to the martial arts that you have studied. Now, you saying this stuff that, you think that you're, you don't need to buy the equipment and that your body's invincible and stuff like that, and you're going to be okay because of the martial arts training that you had. Let me emphasize and break it down like this. Yes, with the martial arts knowledge that you have studied, it has paid off. And yes, they do teach us how to fall correctly. However, that's just only a small portion. It's not the whole enchilada. Even if you fall so many times perfectly, you're still going to feel the impact of the pain, knowing that you don't have the right protection. You know what I mean? You're not going to go out and spar, another person without no equipment unless you really want to hurt the person. Even still, that's a real bad decision. You might also hurt yourself. Football players out there in the NFL, don't head out to the gridiron unless they have their shoulder pads and helmet, because they realize if they play without those type of protection, they might run the risk of getting injured by getting a concussion. They might actually have fractured ribs, maybe something that's way above, without the help of protection. And that sucks. You know what I mean? You wouldn't want to go skateboarding without a helmet, knee pads, and elbow pads, because you might fall and you might take a huge bump. You know what I mean? You might actually injure yourself by just, giving massive trauma impact on your elbows and on your knees. You need that type of equipment for your longevity. So guys, I implore you to be smart. Practice stunt safety. Make sure that you get the right equipment. It's very important. It's imperative that I say this because, I don't want to see another person that I know that is doing stunts or a fight scene and not having the proper protection. And then when they face that stunt and that impact and they fall and whatnot, then they get injured. If I can prevent that by just giving, advice in this situation right now, I'm going to do so. And it's important to me that people stay safe, that they don't run the risk of injury, and that they live to see another day, if you will. To me, that's important. And I need to know that you guys will be okay by just acknowledging those facts and hopefully seeing that you guys will take my advice on this little bit of area, this field of what I have done. You know what I mean? It's common sense, guys. When you invest in good protection, you're more likely not to get injured, and you're going to be fine. If you don't get the right stuff, if you wear no equipment, God help you. But I know for a fact that when you wear zero equipment, at some point in time, you are going to go ahead and get hurt. It doesn't matter how old you are, how strong you are, how experienced you are. No safety means that, you run the high risk of getting injured. Sometimes no safety equipment, then you can't play on the set. It's very simple. People just don't want to have that liability, man. They want to make sure that you're going to be all right and that you're on the up and up. So just be safe. Do the right thing. Be safe. Play smart. Protect yourself at all times by any means, because I'd rather you spend a little bit of money on your well-being, protecting yourself, than to spend no money at all for your well-being and protection and potentially getting fractured or injured on the set and having to pay thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars, all for the fact that you got injured. Not cool, man. Not cool. So, words to live by. That's all I have to say about that. When we get back to the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience, because we're going to take a little bit of a break, your favorite segment and mine, the Q&A question and answer forum. I'm really excited. What's going to happen? I don't know. But stay tuned, guys, because it's going to be awesome. And we're just getting started, y'all. We will see you in a bit. In life, we all want to have great health and excellent physical fitness. However, it's never given, only earned. That said, if you want to go to a gym that will help you to get there, then look no further than Kicked Up Fitness at National Business Parkway in Annapolis Junction, Maryland. Their mission at Kicked Up is to provide the ultimate functioning training facility that focuses solely on your success, with a diverse team that's highly qualified and dedicated to taking your fitness goals to the next level. Kicked Up also offers a variety of group classes and personal training programs that provide something for everyone, regardless of your fitness level. They believe in working hard, achieving results, all while having fun. So come visit their facility in person, which is located at 114 National Business Parkway, Suite 100 in Annapolis Junction, Maryland, 20701. Now, if you see my friend Sean Queen, who's the owner of Kicked Up, tell him that Benny Chow of Miscalculated sent you, and he'll hook you up with a complimentary 7-day pass just to try it out. Need more info? Give him a call. 410-888-9066. Email them at kufitnessnbp@gmail.com or visit them at their website at www.kufitnessnbp.com. Kicked Up Fitness. Never given, only earned.
And now, back to the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience with your host, Kim Hoang.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience. We just got back from break, and it's been amazing. Good times. And, you know, we're still here. Real quick, because I was given a little bit of a show note to do a little bit of a reminder, everybody, that we currently, right now, are now doing a thing where you guys have a chance to actually help the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience out. With your generous donation, you can actually help sponsor the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience podcast show. And what that entails is that, you know, it's voluntary, so you can do this or not. You can do it as frequently as you like. You can do it whenever you want. But we are taking donations where we're actually raising proceeds in order to better improve our quality of our show. Now, what we're trying to raise money for is basically that we're trying to raise money for a lot of things for our podcasts. You know, basically like extra microphones so that our guests can actually use it while they're in studio, and it'd be great. The XLR cables that actually connect to those microphones into our podcasting recorder. We're also looking to get different types of headphones for each of our guests so that they can actually use it while the show is actually being recorded, and so much more. And whatever money that we keep raising, we'll save it to the point where maybe we'll upgrade our computer systems, or we may even upgrade our podcasting recording system. So there's a lot that goes on to it. But we can't do this alone. As much as we would like to, and we pride ourselves of making sure that we get everything and we work hard to, you know, provide everything that we need, we do need a little bit of help. And with your help, it will definitely help us out. And the quality of our podcast will improve exponentially. You can actually donate by making a monetary donation to PayPal and or Venmo, which is at KimHoangMDActor. That's KimHoangMDActor. That works for both PayPal and Venmo. If you have the CashApp, the way that you can actually go ahead and donate to that is that you can go under our screen name, $ KimHoangMDActor. Once again, it's the $, that is it, like the $ before you see the cost of like how much you pay for it, $ KimHoangMDActor. And I use this as a funny example. You can donate as much as $5 million, which I doubt, anybody would do that. Or you can donate as minimal as $5. Any amount helps out. And, again, with your assistance and your help to, help, with your donations and to help sponsor us, it'll be a great thing. And I cheers to you on that. All right. So that being said, now that I got that out of the way, and, thank you for the reminder, everybody. Appreciate it. Now we get to the portion of the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience. Your favorite segment and mine, the Q&A forum, the question and answer, and I love it. Now, the reason why I love it is because you guys give us questions. I answer about 7 of them, and I just do my best to answer it. What I also like about this is that the fact that you guys really help me out and not even give me questions about politics and or religion, because I really feel like that's a bad combination. You know what I mean? That's just not really good. I just don't like to answer those type of questions. Excuse me, because I just think that it's a recipe for disaster. You end up having more arguments than, constructive conversation. And on a personal level, it's a recipe to, lose friends. You know what I mean? So I try seriously not to even go in that dimension, because it's just a terrible thing. You just have to take my word for it. So, guys, if you're ready, we are going to go ahead and answer these questions here on the question and answer forum of the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience. Or better yet, there we go. So, without any further delay, we're going to go ahead and do it. And starting with question number 1, which is, Kim, when it comes to chocolate, what are the best brands? Or what is the best brand? Tim from Alpharetta, Georgia. Tim, this one's pretty good because I love food, as you know. And yes, I like chocolate. I got a sweet tooth. When it does come to chocolate, in my opinion, I think that Ghirardelli chocolate is the best chocolate brand. It's pretty awesome. Comes in all forms. Milk chocolate, dark chocolate. It has sea salt chocolate with caramel in it. Some of it, I think I saw at one point that it's like a chocolate with peanut butter inside of it, and that's so good. Oh my goodness. And different types of chocolate with different types of level cacao. Bittersweet chocolate. Semi-sweet chocolate. Oh my gosh, yeah. So to me, I always think Ghirardelli is number 1. In second, I think that Lindt chocolate is pretty good. I like the creaminess of it, like the creamy chocolate inside of the chocolate, and it definitely has a lot that's going on there. I think it's incredible, and it's definitely cool. Different varieties. Yeah, you just have to like it. The only, and I mean only, complaint that I have is that Lindt makes white chocolate, and I don't know what it is, but I'm not really a white chocolate fan. You gotta nix that. And in third, I would say that the ones that started the benchmark in the U.S., I would have to give it to Hershey. Hershey's always been a great staple of chocolate in the U.S., and I grew up on Hershey's chocolate, so I love it. What I don't like is the fact that I don't like, of all chocolates, I don't like Godiva. I'm not going to spend $75 for one single piece of chocolate. You're out of your mind. And also, I've seen Godiva in, certain malls around the United States before. I haven't seen it recently, so I don't know what that means, whether they went bankrupt or they just, decided to go another way. But when you don't see them, in their own chocolatier retail store in, malls across the United States of America, something's up. But yeah, that's my opinion. Question number 2. Kim, you have talked about a woman who has complained about the Cheesecake Factory in season 2, episode 19 of your podcast show. What are your opinions of that situation? And if that happened to you, how would you feel? That is coming from Carrie of Fort Myers, Florida. All right, good question. And thank you for the reminder, because I would probably remember the actual episode in terms of like, the detail. I just probably wouldn't remember what season and what episode in my mind. I mean, I would have to probably look for it on the phone while I'm actually recording right now. So thank you for that. Yes, let me go ahead and review. In season 2, episode 19, one of the segments I talked about was a moment where a woman was taken to the Cheesecake Factory as as like a dinner date. And, initially I thought, before this even happened, just looking at the video, I thought that was a pretty cool gesture, but she was getting a little bit out of line. She was being bougie. She was telling her date that she didn't want to go to the Cheesecake Factory because it's a chain restaurant and a beautiful woman like herself deserved better. That she needed to go to a very expensive restaurant, something like a James Beard award-winning 3-star restaurant that when you spend for the money of the dinner, the bill had to be like, I don't know, like $1,000. And I really thought that was an unfortunate incident. I felt really bad for the guy. He did not deserve that. He tried his very best, you know what I mean? And honestly, I felt like, if, seeing that happen to him, I wanted to just like scream at him and say, just kick her out of the car and run, get the heck out of Dodge, because are you going to stand there and take that type of a behavior from a woman that's ungrateful for the fact that you wanted to spend your time with her and take her to a nice restaurant? I mean, it's not like you're taking her to TGI Fridays or Ruby Tuesdays, or do I even dare say take her over to Chili's. You're taking her to a nice restaurant. So what if it's a chain restaurant? It's a nice restaurant. So I was really upset for him, and I felt bad for him. Something that really should not have happened. And if it did happen to me, it wouldn't have gotten that far. I would have kicked that woman straight out of the car and just said, you know what? You're out of here. I'm going to go somewhere else. You're going to stay here. And that's that, because I have no time, zero time for your BS and your behavior. I'm here to take you out and to have a good time. You're complaining about the Cheesecake Factory. Guess what? I am just going to leave you. That's that. So my heart feels sad for that guy, and I hope that he learned a very powerful lesson. And I hope since that time that he, is going out with a woman that would treat him a lot better and would respect him, so there it is. Question number 3. Kim, lately the karate tournaments that I have attended, I see that the sparring portion of each tournament looks like a glorified game of tag. What do you think? William from Monroeville, Pennsylvania. And I know exactly where Monroeville is because it's minutes away from Pittsburgh. Well, William, you're not wrong. It's really funny that tournaments that I go to now and I see the sparring division, it's not, it's a joke. It's really weird. Like, whatever happened to actually setting up your opponent, kicking in, and just, throwing in combinations and so forth. You're just coming in with like a Superman punch or just a hammer fist to the head or like a ridge hand to the head. And to me, I feel like, that's just kind of weird. There's no science or strategy or nothing into it. And I feel like, it's lost its touch. Not, like I've seen tournaments in, video footage of the 70s and the 80s where, they really fought. And they really were kicking. And they really did what they had to do to score the point and make it convincing. This punching stuff, Superman punches and hammer fists to the head and the ridge hand and so forth, We got to do better, folks. And I think that it all is on the fighters and the way they trained and how they trained. You know what I mean? I feel like you need to start kicking. And you need to start throwing some combinations and so forth. And you really need to make it convincing. That's all I have to say. I mean, if I wanted to see a glorified game of tag, I would probably see it like kids playing over at the playground, you know, at a community park. And I didn't have to spend money for it. Rather than spending, you know, $25 to watch a karate tournament and see that stuff. So I feel like that's just a wasted time and opportunity. Question number 4. Kim, what is your favorite shampoo and conditioner? Oh, Vanessa from Minneapolis, Minnesota. Vanessa, that's a cool question. It's my first beauty maintenance question. I'll say this. I do like Paul Mitchell shampoo and conditioner. I feel like it's the best thing around. But if I can't afford that, I'd rather go Pantene Pro V shampoo and conditioner and or Tresemme. Because I feel like it does very well. It cleans the hair very well and deep in within the scalp. And the conditioner definitely makes the hair smooth and it's awesome. You know what I mean? But I would pick Pantene first. I have a lot of great experiences with Pantene. And I think it actually works a lot better with my hair between the two. But if Pantene is not an option, then Tresemme is good. So there it is. Question number 5. Kim, what do you think is the most challenging part of being an actor, and what is difficult within the acting process? Alexander from Moab, Utah. I think the difficult part of being an actor in the acting process is basically 2 things. Number 1, it comes to memorizing your lines, because depending on your capacity of your role, whether if you're a lead actor or if you're a supporting actor, you're going to get a lot of lines, and there's definitely a lot of things that you have to do to memorize your lines and make it exactly the way that it should be in terms of like line delivery. But I think that at the same time, that's also the fun part of it. You know what I mean? The second part is actually character development, because you really, when you get your character and you know you're portraying this character in the film that you're going to be in, you have to really go inside that character's head and think, what is this person going to be like? Is he a real nice person? Is he a sleazy person? Is he very diabolical? Does he have a hidden agenda? You really have to tap into that and just do your very, very best. And once you actually have that going, I think that's when, you get it. So that's awesome. Question number 6, Kim, when you do your workout with a punching bag, do you like wearing MMA gloves? Do you like wearing boxing gloves? Or do you like to wear like those hybrid gloves where it's like boxing gloves, but it's a little bit lighter for the punching bag? Trisha from Encino, California. For me, I like wearing MMA gloves and the gloves that you're trying to say, bag gloves, which is, they have the shape of a boxing glove, but it's just not as heavy. Because it's a little bit more lighter, and it's, the lighter the glove for me to do my workout, and especially with punching, then I'm not going to carry as much weight. But when it comes to the mobility and the stability, I rather would wear MMA gloves, because then, the strap around the wrist to actually go ahead and make sure that's secure, to give that nice little wrist security, is really good. But I want to say that alone doesn't help you. You do have to make sure that your hands are obviously wrapped, like your hands around your, the wrap around your hand and the knuckles and the wrist. And that helps stabilizes the wrist and the hand so that when you punch, you're not going to be so flimsy with your punches, so you don't hurt your hand and you don't hurt your wrist. Having proper technique also helps that too. But I would probably wear the MMA gloves more, bag gloves second. And if I didn't have any of that and I only had boxing gloves, I would wear the boxing gloves. I'd feel a little bit weird about the boxing gloves because I feel like, damn, they're a little bit big and bulky, and they're one is like maybe 14 ounces, another one's like 16 ounces, and the other one's 12 ounces. And although I do appreciate the big foamy protection, I just don't want to carry a lot of that weight, so, that's just me and my preference. So there it is. All right, last question of this Q&A form. Question number 7. Kim, how important is beard hygiene? Andrew from Homer, Alaska. Okay, this is a very interesting one. Now, I can only assume one of two things. Either A, you don't have a beard and you really don't know, or B, you're in the process of growing a beard and you're just asking general questions. Either way, it's not wrong, and that's cool. Having hygiene for your beard, meaning a clean beard and making sure that it's it's not dirty, that it's brushed and combed properly and so forth, is very important. You don't want to have a smelly beard. You don't want food particles stuck in your beard because that will attract a lot of germs and bacteria. It is hair. Beard is hair. It's just right there on your face and on your chin, and there's a lot of it. So you want to make sure that you clean your beard and maintain it every day. I use like beard shampoo. I also use beard oil. Sometimes I switch it up and use beard butter. But either way, like, it leaves my beard soft and smelling good. And yes, I do brush my beard every day, just to make sure that it's not caught in anything and it's not developing any knots. A clean beard is a nice beard, and if it's a nice beard, it probably smells nice, and people would want to be around it. It's like the same thing, like, it's important to wear deodorant every day, because if you don't wear deodorant, then you start to smell really funky, and nobody wants to be around a person that smells really bad and has terrible hygiene. And the next thing you know, you smell like a landfill, and it's like, uh-oh, I got to get out of here. I got to relocate, because you don't know how to use proper good habits when it comes to hygiene. Beard hygiene is very important. And, if you decide to grow a beard, that is the way to go. For all the men out there that have a beard, listen to me. Make sure that you maintain it right. Make sure that you clean it, and make sure that it's good, because no woman... If you go out with a woman, no woman wants to have a guy that has a smelly beard. That's just wrong. Just like, if you are a man that has a beard and you go out with guys, no guy would want to be around you if you're going out with them and you have a smelly beard, or it's just looking really bad. Not good. So keep that in mind, folks. Keep that in mind. That being said, guess what? We are done. It's amazing. We got everything exactly the way that we wanted it, and it's awesome. Guys, real quick, as the closing show notes, we are on Facebook, and you can look us up under the search box at the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience. Find us and like us and follow us. We do appreciate that. We're also on other social medias of Instagram and Twitter, now known as X. And you can find us at TKHPC Experience, all in one word, lowercase letters. You follow us and follow us back. We are on a lot of the podcasting platforms of Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, YouTube Music, and the brand new platform called Audible, which is powered by Amazon, that gives you all access to every podcast and audio books out there. And it's a free membership for 1 week if you want to have a free trial membership. That'll be like 7 days for free. And after that, it's a service that you have to pay for $15 a month. Also, if you want to be a guest on our show, if you want to be a special guest host, if you have any constructive criticism, and or if you have any questions for a Q&A form, email us at the KimHoangPodcastexperience at gmail.com. Whatever the subject is, write the subject, and in the body of the email, just make sure that you go ahead and write the email, send it out, and then, I will read it and I'll get back to you within a day or two, because I like constructive criticism. I love my emails and I love communication. Going back to our podcasting platforms, I want you to do me a favor. Like our podcast and subscribe to it on all of those podcasting platforms. Now, do us a favor as well in the terms of, if you have Spotify, please give us a 5-star ranking. If you have Apple Podcasts, give us a 5-star ranking and a positive written review, because the more times that you do that, then the more increased chances that our podcast is going to be like featured and it's going to be at the front of the class. And then somebody could say, hey, that's that podcast that Anna Marie was telling me about, and maybe I should check it out. Yes, check it out. Go ahead and read about our podcast and check out the episodes that we have. Like it, subscribe to it, and even go further by telling your friends and family members and work colleagues in person, or share it around on social media. I mean, we got the Facebook, we got the Instagram, we got the Twitter known as X, we got Snapchat, we even have TikTok. Share the stuff, because sharing is caring, and that is what we call brand awareness. And that's it, guys. I mean, we are good. It has been an incredible moment to make this episode, and I'm very happy about it. And I just want to thank you guys for your time, for spending it with me and hearing what I had to say, and I love it. But guys, please be safe out there, because we want you to be safe and do the right things in life. It doesn't do us any good if you do the wrong things in life and you end up getting buried in a pine box and getting lowered 6 feet under, because we just don't want that for you. We want the best for you. We want you to be healthy. We want you to be happy. We want you to live a positive life. And, we just want you to be in a very good situation in life, because you deserve it. And if anybody else tells you different, that you don't deserve it, well, tell them to kiss your butt and tell them to, kick rocks and go somewhere, because you don't have time for that type of negativity. You have time for positivity. And that's what it's all about at the end of the day. That's all I got. Great times. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your continued love and support. And thank you for believing in me and believing in the podcast, because if it wasn't for you guys, this thing really wouldn't be happening. And I'm just truly blessed to be here, and I'm very happy to be here, and I will continue to do my very best for all you guys, because you deserve it. So that being said, for the one time, right here inside of the beta room in the Asian Sensation Studios, located in the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area, this is your boy, Kim Hoang, the Asian Sensation, the host with the most, the man with the plan, saying thank you very much for your time. I love you guys very much. We will do this again real soon. God bless y'all. And, let's love one another. And let's treat each other with the love and respect that we deserve. You know what I mean? It's been real, guys. Thank you. Thank you so much. Peace.